Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 170 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to talk about how much should you actually know when it comes to digital marketing. And this is going to be an interesting conversation. I think it's going to be helpful for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a practice owner and you have people doing marketing for you, or if you're a person in a practice doing marketing and you're trying to communicate better with the owner of the practice and trying to convey the value that you're providing. So I think it's going to be super helpful for a range of different skill levels and involvements when it comes to digital marketing in your veterinary practice. And it's something I've been thinking about a ton, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute here. But before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes or in Google Play. I would really appreciate if you'd also leave me an honest review. I would definitely appreciate that. And if you haven't joined the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group, what are you doing? You need to be over there. There's a great place to get help, ask questions, collaborate with all of the smartest digital marketers in the veterinary space. They're all there, so head on over that way. There's a bunch of awesome people in that group. I'd also like to mention, too, that if you are looking for help with your digital marketing, with your website, you should absolutely head on over to Whisker Cloud. If you go to whiskercloud.com/Brandon, you can get help with your advertising or your marketing. It's a fantastic service, and I actually help Whisker Cloud with their ads, so I just wanted to mention that. All right, let's jump into today's episode. So, if you are in marketing, you're probably asking yourself, what should I learn or what should I do? If you're a practice owner and you're a doctor and you're running a practice, and let me tell you kind of the different ranges that we have. We have people that are practice owners that are doing everything, including they're running a practice, they're running their advertising, they are running their entire business, plus they have a medical degree, they're doing amazing work at the same time, and they're trying to figure out how to do this marketing stuff, and I totally get that. And then we have people that are, practice managers who are also managing an entire practice, managing multiple, employees, and all of the stuff that goes with managing a large business that's complex, and then they're also doing marketing. And then we have people that are employees that are maybe reception staff, or they're vet techs, or they have another role, but then they've also been assigned the role of marketing their veterinary practice that they work at. And that has a lot of, maybe they don't necessarily have the bandwidth, or maybe you don't have the bandwidth to really grow into the position that you're looking to do, or maybe you are the marketing director, your person who's actively working to help drive new people into your practice, and that is your sole responsibility and your sole job. So I think that there is going to be kind of a few different strategies that we're going to have to take. Number one, there's some things that are universally true though here. I think everybody who is in terms of, responsible for marketing or driving clients into their practice in some capacity, whether they're the owner or the reception staff or whoever it is that's doing marketing, you need to make sure that you understand general principles of marketing. It's going to be very difficult for you to hire and manage people inside of your business if you don't understand the basics. So you need to understand, I think, at a minimum, in general, how marketing works. And in terms of what is a funnel, how do we drive clients from being strangers to then coming in the door and wanting the services that you have? How do we do that? And so we've done a lot of podcast episodes in the past. I've talked about that a bunch. And so I think that it's very important that you go back and you listen and you figure out, at a minimum, how are we going to drive people from awareness to evaluation to conversion? And if you are the person that is trying to do marketing in your practice, it's important that your boss understands that. That even if you have a good marketing system, if you don't have good service, or if there's a hole in your service, or if there's, reception staff isn't calling clients to make appointments, it doesn't matter how awesome the marketing is that you're doing. It's not going to be as effective. You can, lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Same thing with clients. They can request information, they can request appointments, but if you can't execute and fulfill on that, giving more appointments isn't going to fix the problem. It's not going to fix the hole in the boat that's sinking, if that makes sense. So you need to make sure that you understand what it is that you're trying to do. Now, there's two, I think, specific strategies inside of veterinary marketing that work well, because it's a local business, right? And so there's, local businesses and national businesses. That's kind of how I think about things, especially if it's e-commerce, and also service, or are we selling products? And if we're selling products or services, those are two different kind of categories as well. So we are a local business selling services. Okay. And that's the majority of veterinary practices out there. So there are, limited kind of opportunities, I think, which is helpful because the world of marketing is so big. You have email marketing and text message marketing and messenger bots and social media marketing and display ads and search ads and YouTube ads and all of these potential things that you can be doing. So narrowing it in and focusing on what is actually going to work. And since it's a local business that offers services, I think there's two major plays that every single veterinary practice should be doing with regards to their business. Number one, you have transactional searches that are happening in your area. People are actively looking for what you have to offer. So that's the case. Since that's the case, you can tap into those people, and that typically is done through search ads, through Yahoo or Google or wherever. So tapping into those searches that are happening, that is tapping into the intent that is going on. So we have intent marketing, okay? That's where people are actively looking for the products and services that you offer. When somebody has the intent, when somebody needs the product or service that you're offering, what it does is it shortens the funnel. All of a sudden, they're not out just hanging out and they're looking for something and something pops up. It's, I need this, I'm finding this. And so that makes it so that people can come in. That's one thing. Intent marketing, intent-based marketing, tapping into those kinds of searches and the places that those clients are hanging out. I think that that's important that you understand in general how that works. The next thing is, where is your audience hanging out? And social media is where your audience is hanging out. So having a strong social media presence that you're actively engaging with your current clients and attracting new clients, that's important. And it's very, very important that you understand how those two are different and how the strategies vary from spot to spot. And so whether you are the person that is the owner of the practice or whether you're the person of the marketer of the practice, it's important that you can convey these different strategies and how they work and how they're measured and what happens in each section, in each segment. And so I hope that makes sense. But you have to understand, first of all, what is a funnel? How are we going to drive strangers to become customers? How are we going to resell our customers? How are we going to create evaluation in our practice? And then from there, how are we going to measure and manage success? So if you are trying to get, for example, and again, I think just understanding this from the general perspective of what you should know, should you be an expert in Google AdWords? And they're changing all the time. And, the attribution models are changing and the ad formats are changing. And, should you be running smart campaigns? Should you be running AdWords Express campaigns? In general, those kind of questions need to be reserved for the person who is going to be doing the work. And, after having worked with veterinarians in the industry for 5 years, it's really interesting that just the level of detail that I think is important for the veterinary practices to understand. And I kind of think about it in terms of this. If you had a pipe at your practice that was broken and you needed to call a plumber to have them come in, you wouldn't stand there the whole time and say, hey, I wanted to mention and I noticed that you're not using a 5/8 fitting. I think you should be using a 5/8 fitting. And I don't think you're using the right kind of wrench there. I would suggest using this kind of a wrench. But it's interesting because, if you're hiring somebody to do marketing for your veterinary practice, that's oftentimes exactly what is happening in terms of the practice owner or the person doing it. They jump in there, you set up campaigns, and they can't help themselves. They jump in there, they start adding tons of broad match keywords, they start adjusting ads, they start doing all kinds of different things that they really don't have any expertise or knowledge to to do. And so it's just really, I think, interesting in that if you're understanding the strategy behind things and you're hiring somebody who's competent to do it, then you need to understand how is this going to be measured, managed, and moving forward, how can you improve the results that you're getting. But I don't think that you necessarily need to understand, which wrench is being used, or what is the size of the pipe fitting that you're using in that illustration that I just spoke about. So I think that understanding the general principles, unless you're the person that's actively working on implementing the ads and actually putting them out there, I don't think that you should be the person that is necessarily worried in all of that detail. Now, if you are the person that's the marketing manager for your veterinary practice, you need to understand and you need to be extremely well versed in all of the aspects and the nuances of the ad platforms. You need to be in there every single day. You need to be managing these things very, very frequently because it is constantly changing, and it's very easy for ad spend to slip away and for just things to go wrong quickly. So if you are the person that is doing the marketing in the practice, this needs to be your life and you need to be in it every single day. And same thing goes if you're going to ask somebody in your team that you're going to say, hey, I would like for you to do the social media and the ads for my practice. They need to be in that every single day. And you can't be like, oh, you know what? We didn't have time for this today. Let's do it another day. And if that's not available in your practice, I would highly suggest that you either make it available or hire a professional that is going to be in that every single day, because it's going to make a tremendous difference in your practice. So let's talk really quick here about some tips, right? I think that you have two kind of varying degrees of how in-depth and how hands-on you should be. So if you are in the place where you are managing professionals that are executing marketing for you, you need to be proficient in all of the terms. You need to understand where traffic is coming from. You need to be clear on what the goals are and what you would like to have happen, and that needs to be provided to the marketing company that you're working with. If you are the marketing professional, you need to have the goals to provide and say, hey, these are the best ways for clients and customers to come in the door. We are going to be tracking and measuring success based on these things. Here's what I think would be good. And if you are understanding that our goals specifically are to drive ROI and drive new clients in the door, what are the best ways to measure that? Make it as simple as possible and create systems that allow you to report on those things. And if you're not sure what to do in terms of how do we track and measure conversions and what are we tracking in our practice, I think thinking about it and, go to the veterinary marketing Facebook group, ask questions there. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know. But you have to understand what are our KPIs, and we drive to those KPIs. Everything that we do inside of our marketing is pointing to those things, and that is to get more new clients in the door and to get more old clients back in the door again more frequently, to increase compliance and help them to provide better healthcare for their pets. Okay, so those are the specific goals that everything that we do kind of revolves around. So if you are not sure what to do, I would say going through things like, Think with Google has some really good free courses. This podcast has great courses, and then asking questions inside of the group to make sure that you understand in general how marketing works. Now, another thing that I would suggest too is if you've never read the book Jab, Jab, Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, that is fantastic. And then Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. Those two books will help to get you up to speed on general principles within marketing. Now, I think one thing that would be, very, very helpful and applicable to everybody is setting up campaigns and KPIs related to the campaigns that you're setting up that are easy to manage and track. One of the things that is so difficult, and especially with practice managers or people that are inside of the industry that are actively trying to kind of vet and track work, is that they want data points on everything. And so, understanding time on site and bounce rate and percentage exit on all of your pages and all of the different segments and all the different traffic segments, you can get really detailed, and you could seriously get just swamped inside of the data to a point where it doesn't become meaningful. So my suggestion for you is to get with either the owner of the practice if you're the marketing person, or if you are the owner of the practice, get with your marketing person and set up the 10 KPIs that are going to make a difference in your business. And they should be easy to track and implement. They should relate directly to traffic going to your site, because that's very important. If you don't have traffic coming to your site, you're not going to get new customers. Understanding where that traffic is coming from, understanding how many conversion actions are happening on your website, and then also, if you're doing any kind of paid ads, what are the conversion actions that is resulting in that specifically. Along those lines too, having some general, easy to measure metrics that you can quickly glance at, maybe week over week or bi-weekly, where you say, okay, these are all in the green, we're increasing from here, here's what our baseline was, here's what our goal was, did we hit that or miss that? And that way you can have a good handle on exactly what's going on in your practice without having all of the complexity that's going on. And if you have campaigns that are running and they're running properly and they're running successfully, but you're not sure what's going on behind the scenes, then best case scenario, things are going good and you have no idea, but they're just kind of humming along and you're like, hey, we're busy, everything's good. Or worst case scenario, you're losing money and wasting ad spend on things that you could be growing your business with. So I think setting up a quick and easy dashboard that lets you measure 10 specific KPI points, and I chose 10 because it's not an overwhelming number and it's enough to get the detail that you need on your business. And you could make it 5 if you wanted to. I think the less the better, actually, just because it's going to help it to actually get measured and monitored. So figure out what those things are, get on board with the either marketing person or the owner, and just try to make it as simple as possible in a way that you can actually see what's going on specifically. So I think that if you are a practice owner, diving in headfirst into all the technical parts of marketing is probably not the best use of your time in terms of, what should you be doing to grow your business. I think that you need to understand general principles. You need to understand strategies that help you to apply those principles. But if you start getting to the point where you're like, okay, we're going to now make an instant experience, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to be putting together this instant experience, and we're going to have lead forms that are going to connect with Zapier, and we're going to input our leads from Facebook into our MailChimp campaign. And then what we're going to do is have a dynamic retargeting campaign that's using our product catalog in Facebook. If you start talking like that level of detail, you've gone and given yourself a degree in marketing, basically. And while that's going to have value to you, I think that especially, it's amazing the level of detail that practice owners who own a practice, and they also are doctors and they're actively practicing medicine, and they're doing all of this marketing stuff, and finding what is your highest return on investment time use, I think is definitely very helpful, and it's important to remember. So, hire people that can support and grow your business. If you hire somebody who's going to help you grow your business in your practice, that's not going to be an expense. That's going to have a return on investment for you. So make sure that you find that person and you find that partner that's going to help you to get your business to where you want it to be, so that you can grow it and succeed where you'd like to grow. So if you have any questions, comments, you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope this was helpful to you. I would love to hear from you. If you are in a marketing position, how do you, and this would be great to know inside the Facebook group, the Veterinary Marketing Nerds, would love to hear your feedback on this. But if you're a practice owner, what is your biggest concern when it comes to, kind of giving up control of the marketing? Or what is your biggest problem that you have by doing that? And then if you are the marketing person in a practice, what is your biggest difficulty when it comes to talking to the owner of the practice? I would love to hear and get a discussion around that, so be sure to comment there. Anyways, I'll see you on next week's episode. Have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.